Hey guys, it's Matt. This video is going to be almost entirely about part two, the work, or what I call the worry about yourself activities. I am going to do a little stalled century update. Some things came in that I have to talk about, but then we'll get into exclusively part two, the work. Hopefully in the comments section, you can share what's working for you, what you believe you need to do as your part two, the work. I'll tell you about what I think's working for me. What I still believe I have to do. So some people have been confused about what exactly this means, and I understand why they're confused, because there's tens of thousands of different examples and applications of part two, the work. And what I need to do for the rest of my life is not the same as what you need to do, potentially, and what someone else needs to do. So there's hundreds of thousands of possibilities. But I need to do a better job now that we've completed the book. The 1 hour summary is over. It's time to do more of this. We'll still examine Not Milk at least twice or three times a week. Examine dark reality. Make fun of it once or twice a week. But we need to do this. We need to do this once or twice a week. So here's the best way to describe, in my opinion, where we are. How we came into the truth of this reality. We came through different paths. Then we all arrive at the same point. Oh boy, did I make some... The trolls will do a freeze frame or something and some sort of hand symbol. Keep your hands to your side, Matt. Okay. Now, we arrive at the same point. I think then we're all on the same page in terms of the truth, which is just seeing through the fraud of this reality. Then, once we see through the fraud of this reality, okay, why am I here? What do I have to do for yourself? For what do I have to do for myself? So we come in through a lot of different paths, get to a central point where we're all on the exact same page. We see through the trick of reality. And remember Paul's cartoon. I have to show the cartoons again. And the guy in the bathtub, what is it? The Norm, the bathtub rebel, throwing the rubber ducky at me on the screen. He says, Matt, what part is a trick? What part? All of it. All of it is a trick and a distraction to have a real soul do what it's not supposed to do, in my opinion, in this reality, and never get to part two, the work. So my path to truth, I've said this many times, but I started watching, in 2008, or was it the Russian vids? He was breaking down, this mall event is cake in a lake, this school event, and I just know they couldn't all be cake in a lake. What? And he's like, oh my gosh, they're all cake in a lake. And these people are catastrophe thespians. And look at the 33 all over. My path in was different from your path. Now, it wasn't just about mall events and school events. And, other people came in by saying that no tuna fish can with Neil and Buzz never went nowhere. I mean, you come into that central point where we all agree. And actually, most people in the truth community never get to that central point where you basically see all of reality, at least at the screen level or the outer ring, is a fraud. It's all there to distract, so you never get to part two, the work. Never do the worry about yourself activities. They might say, this in studying truth is a fraud, and that's a fraud. And Matt, I don't look at the Apollo program anymore because everybody knows about that. But I am looking at mud flood, because that's real. And I am looking at Tartari, our architecture. So, no, it doesn't work that way, guys. We know that now. Your part of reality that you study is not just and true and real, while all the other parts are fake. See, it doesn't... If all this over here is fake, then it's likely your part is that you're looking at and so interested in is fake too. It's all part of the same fake. That is crystal clear to me at this point, but I think it's crystal clear to most people here. It's all a distraction. So our paths and our journey in seeing through the reality trick, we come in from different paths. Then we get to a central point where we're basically all on the same page and all agree, at least the people here, that at least the outer screen and its endless presentation is fake across the board. Then, okay, well, why is it making this presentation? Why is it endlessly trying to get me interested in this or that? Well, even if you don't know much about yourself, you can see what it's trying to do to you, and you can discern from how it's trying to block us and how hard it works that what you can almost get every answer because of what it's trying to do to you. Well, why? What's it trying to keep me from? Maybe I should be looking for that. And it's basically how we come out of that central point and then proceed to part two, the work and the worry about your self-activities. So again, hopefully the comments will be about, what is working for you, and we'll, in every one of these videos, share ideas using the comments section among ourselves. But real quick, guys, a few minutes on Stalled Century. People send me stuff. It is just absolutely unbelievable. It doesn't end. I'll try to keep this, 3 or 4 minutes or less, because this is not why we're here. But by the way, guys, we'll always, in videos, I will always, make fun of Not Milk. I will look at Not Milk 2-3 times a week. This is not just going to turn into a touchy-feely, channel about part two, the work, every video. No, it's going to be a balance. I'm sure the dark reality will still be presented to me daily in terms of what people send me by way of links, and we'll continue to look at it. What's it up to next? We need to be a bit prepared, even though we don't really, at this point, we shouldn't care what it's up to next. For example, just popped into my head, I guess 5 years ago, I'd be leading with this and we'd be studying every aspect of it. People commented, Matt, are you going to look at the Francis Scott Key Bridge? No. Who cares? I mean, who cares? Most presentations like that are not legitimate. Most. There will be some things that happen in this world by accident. There will be actually somebody in a mall that actually got hold of a firearm. A few things are real. Most major presentations are not in this world. I don't care. I don't care about no Francis Scott Key Bridge. Okay? I care if anybody was really injured. I care if it's going to take people 9 or 10 hours to get to work. But no, I'm not looking at it. Come on, man. Anybody? You must be new. If anybody asks me if I'm going to look at the bridge, really? Sorry. So where was I, guys? Oh, the Stalled Century. One is the Jake Gyllendiker Hall with Roadhouse. I mean, come on. I hear it's terrible. It's got that UFC fighter. Is it McGregor, who can't act? They don't do Stalled Century for cash grabs. I mean, this one does look like a cash grab, though, more than most. It's not ever about money. The first grade truther will bark out, "It's just cash grab, man. They're just trying to make money." No, there's something a lot more dark and sinister and strange going on that in some way relates to stalling out time itself. It relates in some way to holding back the new age of Aquarius. I mean, in some ways that like Levette could talk about more intelligently probably than I could, related to their creepy astrology. They're trying to stall out time, maybe to protect their own position. Stalled Century is not just about cash grabs, and okay, we don't need to go back to that. What exactly they're doing in their creepy ways with that, we don't know. But no, it's not cash grab. Although the Jake Gyllendiker Roadhouse, going back to the old Patrick Swayze, and it actually almost copies, from what I hear, almost scene by scene, the Patrick Swayze movie. Why not do something a little bit different? It's unbelievable. Now, the other one is there's another Ghostbusters. I know they brought the Ghostbusters back with the all-female cast, which was a disaster. Then they did one that wasn't so horrible, maybe 3 years ago, with that actor that played in the 40-Year-Old Virgin, and he's Ant-Man. I forget his name. This is 40. That same guy. His name is Scott something. It doesn't matter. Please don't waste. We're talking about worry about your self-activities to benefit the spiritual whole of us. Don't waste a comment on that, please. They brought that same crew back, and it's supposedly pretty much a disaster also. And then Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray keep popping up to cement the Stalled Century as the Ghostbusters. And come on. Now the other one was somebody. Was it Kent sent me? Was it the Fall Guy? The Fall Guy, Steve Austin, who played the $6 Million Man. Again, I don't know his name. I think he was briefly married to Farrah Fawcett. The Fall Guy, it was probably early 80s TV show. I watched it just for Heather Thomas. I had a Heather Thomas poster on my wall. Oh, good to hear, Matt. We weren't so sure about you. Well, I could have changed. No, if I had the Heather Thomas poster, I'd put it back up on the wall. That's all I got. But it was. I don't know his name. Don't bother again in the comments. They're bringing back a mediocre TV show from the early '80s called The Fall Guy. Whatever. I can hear the jingle in my head, but I'm not going to sing it for you. So, guys, okay. In terms of about a week ago, the 1 hour summary of my opinion of all of reality broken down in an hour, I haven't gone back and looked through the comments in detail, which I'm going to do maybe as soon as I'm done recording this. I have to look at the objections. I have to see what parts of that presentation people are having a problem with, or they might say this is on target here, but this is horse shit. This is bullcrap over. You need help over here, man. I don't expect it to me hit the nail on the head in terms of explaining exactly how reality works in under an hour. It's my opinion and interpretation as of now. There's a lot of smart people here that will help me refine that. Maybe we'll do an update once a year. But the basic concepts in the book, I don't think are ever going to change, guys. They make mistakes on purpose to draw us in to further research of whatever the conspiracy of the month is. They want our attention. It's nothing more than it's the red cape in front of the bull, the matador, the not-milk matador, the not-milk demented matador with the red cape trying to mistakes on purpose. The section over here, how reality gives itself away. I don't see any of that ever changing, because to me those things, that is how reality gave itself away, as being something that's on the very opposite end of the spectrum of what a scientist would say, or Neil of grass-fed bisons would say about a big bang and a cosmos. And again, once you understand that there's no possible way we got here in any way that any scientist says related to anything regarding the cosmos or the Big Bang, it's the greatest news of all time. As the world gets more fake, we get more real. Again, don't like the way that's put, but okay. So, guys, I have left a link in the description. If you could just hear me out for 1 minute before going to that link. I ask you to go. I think it works to go to that link now, unless you know exactly the scene I'm talking about and know exactly the lines. One of the biggest part 2 truth drops, and I don't. It seems to be there's truth in many Kevin Costner movies, whether they're intentional or not. It doesn't matter. If we get spiritual truth from them, then the truth is there, whether it was meant to be there or not. It doesn't matter. There are many cases via songs or works of art where there is a spiritual truth that flows out of it. Only we will notice it, and it's real, whether the director, writer, songwriter, etc. intended it to be there or not. Vanessa VA coined the term as retro. She called it the retrocausality language. Yeah, for a song she called it the retrocausality language. Now, in Field of Dreams, it's when Kevin Costner. Just 1 more minute, and then if you could watch the link, unless you know the exact scene. Kevin Costner goes back to see Doc Graham. He finds himself they don't explain how he has gone back in time, but it's the mid-'70s. The Godfather's playing, and he sees somebody walking across the street. He was meant to find Doc Graham, and it's one of the most incredible scenes in movie history regarding part 2, the work, to me. And he goes in, and they're discussing that he was only he didn't get to bat, right? He was put in as a minor leaguer in a major league game in the 9th inning. He went. It was the bottom of the 9th, so he played outfield. Didn't go to extra innings. The season ended. It was the last game of the season, and he was then sent back to the minor leagues. And he said, "I can't do this again. I'm done with baseball." And he said, to get so close to your dream, what I wanted to experience, he said, is I wanted to face at least once a major league batter. You remember this scene? Wink, make him seem like you know something that he doesn't. Never got that chance because he went out to the outfield. Then there was 3 outs. The season was over. Never got to bat. And he says something like, "What if there's a little Kevin Costner? What if there's a little magic in the moonlight where something like that could happen?" And Doc Graham's like, "Are you the type of man that could make something like that happen?" And Doc Graham, as he's talking, the main point, guys, is, without me acting out the whole scene, is we don't. And I'm going to act out the whole scene, but I'm not going to get this right. I'm going to be able to act out the entire movie, but I'm going to get this wrong. We don't realize the most important moments of our lives as they're happening. And this was impactful to me 20 years ago, before we started doing what we're doing here, or See Through the Reality Trick, Part 2, the work. I mean, if there's 10 things in terms of Part 2, the work, that are incredibly, the most important 10 things, this would be one of the 10 for me. Again, that doesn't mean it's one of the 10 for you. We don't realize the most amazing and impactful and incredible parts of our lives as they're happening. As they're happening is the key. Not looking back, oh, yesterday was pretty amazing. Almost nobody does this. Almost no one who has ever lived has been able to do this properly. Well, if it's like that, with that scene in The Last Samurai, you could spend your life looking for a perfect blossom, and it would not be a wasted life. You could try and do nothing else but live your life trying to realize the most significant moments of your life as they're happening, and that would be, in a way, almost enough if you were pursuing this your entire life, and actually realizing the importance of the moment as it's happening or just after it's happening. So for a while now, I've been doing this, and it's really been helping my Part 2, the work, in terms of I'll look up and I'll just see, I don't know, just a cloud formation. And I in the past, when we're in our 20s and 30s, and when I was in my 40s, early 40s, like, who gives a shit? I didn't care about. I'll look now with wonder, and the sunset to me, the greatest show on earth, and it's touchy feely stuff. I know, guys, but to me, this is part of Part 2, the work. What are you gonna, Matt? You gonna crunch granola for us and pull out grape nuts and hug a tree on a video? Okay, but I'll just pause, and it's incredible to me. I'll pause and I'll go, this is. And I'll even at like a certain cloud formation or something in nature, I like, this is one of the most important lives, and I'm realizing it as it's happening. Okay, that's not the birth of my child, or I don't have a child. It's not, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but you know what I mean. I'm realizing it as it's happening. I'm starting to be able to do this. And is it just from the quote from Doc Graham? No, but they got me thinking about that a long time ago. And if anybody has kids, guys, look, I'm not one to give advice. What did Arnold say? I give him the wrong advices. I'm not the one to give advices about kids because I don't have them. But I can't imagine this isn't really good advice if you have a kid aged 10 through 18. Tell the kid, remind the kid, recognize the most important moments of your life as they're happening, not 5 years later, how amazing this situation was. As they're happening. I mean, how would I be different if my parents never gave me any of this stuff? Figuring it out on our own. But what if somebody when I was a child, and of course they'd blow it off the first 100 times you said it to them. Adult mumbo jumbo. But if it's sunk in at all, or they had an incredible moment and they remembered the parents saying, whoa, wait a second. And this is a related story, guys, but the one thing, and the first way I was ever moved like this, but it was related, and this isn't going to come out right. I don't even know how to talk about this, but if I can get this out, it's an interesting story. I woke up to this aspect very early on as a kid, but I didn't know what was happening, and I don't. Let me just finish this because this probably won't even come out right at all. You won't even understand what I'm trying to get out, but. We went. We do fifth grade camping, believe it or not. They would take us to fifth graders would go off in elementary school in Upper Merion area school district outside King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. It was a famous thing when you were in third grade. Oh, we're going to do fifth grade camping. Take you to this campsite, French Creek up here, maybe. I don't know, these huts. You'd stay overnight. They'd let kids stay in a cabin, fifth graders overnight, with chaperones. So, of course, as soon as they put us to bed, we're running around outside. And there were no deer ticks, incredibly. We'll talk about that some other time. Going through the weeds, and no deer ticks. They did not exist. Yeah, we'll talk about that some other time. That's about as sinister as it gets. So they said one of the things we're going to do over this 2-day period is we're going to do a stream hike. Oh, the stream hike. We were all looking for this stream hike. It was a big deal. Like, we'd know when we're going off to the stream. And at one point during the day, we just found ourselves playing and there was a stream, and some people went into the stream and started to run around in the water. So many of us ran around in the water, and I didn't think that was the stream hike. That was so. Afterwards, maybe a few hours later, I'm like, well, when's the big stream hike? I was expected this big event where a bus would roll up and there, this is the stream. It was like that was it. That was so. We've been looking forward to this for say months. That was it when we were just running around in the stream. I thought that was just like killing a half hour. Like that was it. And I thought, well, wait a second, that was it. But it was pretty amazing when we were doing it. How often you get to go camping as fifth graders, kids today? I mean, forget about it, right? Go camp and be running around a stream like on school time and with other. It was an amazing experience, and I'd assigned so much status and prestige to the stream. Like that was it, and it passed me by because that was it. It's not coming up, and this isn't coming out. I'm sorry, but it's the first taste I ever had of. Well, I didn't recognize that was it while it was happening. I don't know if that came out right, but that's something very. It was the first taste I had of that line in Field of Dreams. And if you have a kid, I mean, they're going to say, "I don't want to hear that again, Mom," but someday they'll thank you. As the most important moments, and you recognize them as they're happening, which just almost nobody that ever lived, I want to say gets good at it. Nobody gets good at it. But how many people have ever even done it? Of the billions who have come and gone, just during the moment, pause. That this is it. I mean, I'm going to recognize this, and talk about part two, the work. That's it. That's not it. I mean, there's thousands of different things to do. But that's something I've been working on for a long, and I'm doing it. Another part to the work, guys, for me is like it's. I know, guys, it's so touchy feely. I know. How did you go from breaking down mall events and school events and dark reality? I'll still look at dark reality and make fun of it, guys. To this touchy, you can go hug a tree or something. Okay, this is how one evolves, folks. This is the work. This is the emotional type, the side, the reason we incarnated here, in my opinion. It's not the reason my, quote, higher self, and I don't like the term, sent us here is not to break down this Francis Scott Key Bridge. The higher self's going, what do you say? Higher self's going, I don't give a shit about no bridge accident. I'm gonna remove you from our, as Tony would say, our simultaneous incarnations. If you go, after all you've done, you're going to go back and look at a bridge accident, which was likely cake in a lake. Guys, I have no idea if it's cake in a lake. I didn't look at it for 1 second. I just in general, that's what these presentations are. Maybe my higher self will, as Tony says, we have hundreds or thousands of simultaneous, according to Tony, and again, he shared a lot with us, and we thank him for it. Not sure exactly what exactly is right and wrong. Some resonates with me more than other. So hundreds or thousands of simultaneous, seem more like hundreds, simultaneous incarnations of higher self, all experiencing material planes or this earth in some way, but at different time periods, but per the needle on the record or the vinyl, all happening at the same time, but happening separate and unique to each consciousness that's on the record of time, but all happening simultaneously to the higher self. Maybe the higher self can remove one and say, "You no longer part of us. I'm not taking you back in. You a real loser." Tony would disagree, of course. He'd say that would be like cutting off your own finger. Tony would say even the dumbest of incarnations, the higher self learns from. Even if the higher self has like somebody that just trades stocks by looking at blips all day long, just looks at blips all day long. That actually, the higher self can learn something from that. I don't want to believe that. Like I've said, I don't want to believe that delinquent incarnations can give the higher self things that maybe that I can, but that's what, Tony says. They can learn from all different types of incarnations, even the delinquent ones. So, but that's your role, Matt, is in people listening. This is not to be a delinquent incarnation. It's maybe to give the part or the aspect of you that's not here the key ingredients so it can get out of these material planes and exit and say we've done enough. One of the key things that I seem to take away from Tony was the higher self, the incarnations need to have done enough, need to give it or provide the puzzle pieces, the final puzzle pieces for why it incarnated. Some would agree that in a way the higher self may be stuck, but not trapped. I mean, stuck here in terms of these incarnations until it figures it out. It will figure it out, according to Tony. I mean, there's no question. There's no trap or Saturn Moon Matrix endless trick. It will figure it out, but maybe for some it'll take longer than others. So, what was the other I was talking about? Oh, the other aspect of part 2 of the work I've been working on is one of the tricks of this reality per the screen in the outer ring is how it gets every day to blend together, to be just a fog. And I'm a victim of that, I hate putting it this way, but a lot of times I'll say, "Shame on you, Matt. Shame on you. You haven't learned your lesson by now." It has done this to us and to me. Well, it does it to everybody. You go to work and it's the same routine, and even so, I do it sometimes. I'll look. Let's talk about this Not Milk presentation. I'll make a video. And I'll go work on the stove. And for the last 2 months, one day will blend into the other. And I'm working so hard to break through this. This is no different than any other distraction, or maybe it's most lethal distraction from the not milk. It's how every day blends in. So you have to do something every day to make it unique. It's so hard to do. I went somewhere, and it was, let's say, a routine place I've gone so many times for whatever reason. Now there was, because I'm into bricks now, and I'm building the Russian stove, and I'm learning about mortar and mixing raw lime. I've never worked with lime by itself, and these different mortars and cements, and so there was it was a part of a brick wall, say, but kind of like a plaque when you enter one of these McMansion neighborhoods. It's called like Chestnut Run, or we've made fun of this recently. This one was called, I think, Waterloo something. And I was like, well, that's, I'm going to learn something about this brick. And I went out of my way, and I wasn't thinking about part 2 of the work. I wanted to see how they constructed this part of this brick wall that introduced the McMansion complex. And I found myself going, wait a second, I'm off the beaten path here. I'm doing something completely different, walking way down the street here to do. And I said, this is what I've been talking about. I mean, this is just, this day will be remembered. Now, it will be remembered because I noticed it. It's not like walking to see a brick wall is the greatest thing. And, I remember, let me tell you, grandson, the day I went to see the brick wall. I noticed that I'm breaking the mold here. And that is pretty stupid and like, Matt, that's not that exciting. Is this what the channel has become now? You walked out of your way to see a brick wall, and is that why we're here? You understand what I'm saying. You have to do something different every day, or as often as you can, or go off the same path. Like birthdays to me. Every birthday, I always say I'm going to do something different, something will be memorable. I never do. I don't remember one birthday. I don't care about my birthday. I never liked it. It was always around the time we were going back to school, so never had any parties as a kid. But I always say to myself, I'm going to do something on my birthday so it's memorable. And I mean, it never is memorable. One just blends into the other. And I'm saying, guys, I'm not saying this is the greatest technique in the world and this advice isn't very good, but I'm at the point now where it's like, I'm going to remember a birthday. I'm going to go out into my garage before I'm about to get in the shower or whatever. I'm going to take like a bucket of water and dump it on my head. Now, that's not the greatest solution, but I assure you, if I will never forget that. It's a bad example, or maybe it's a good example, but I will never forget the birthday. I remember one birthday. For some reason, I was tired of not remembering them. I remember dumping a bucket of water and then like dripping it through the house, trying to get to the shower. You'll never forget that. And look, it's so hard to do this because the Not Milk is expert at putting us into a routine. So see, in terms of what I'm supposed to do in life, and because we come in here, Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid, I will look to the Not Milk to actually give away what I'm supposed to do. So this is you can do this, guys. This is the way or part of how the reality was designed, in my opinion. So if I look at the Not Milk and study the Not Milk, it wants to put us all in a routine so one day blends into the next without anything being memorable and years or decades going by going, how did I get here? Does it want that? What does your inner knowing tell you? Of course it wants that. Of course it works hard for the routine. Now, so you know, because it's working to do that to you, you know what your job is. It is that simple. Your job is to make every day, you can't make every moment memorable and every hour. Come on. We need to be even every day memorable. I mean, it's, but these are ridiculous examples, but just to get you thinking a little bit differently. Every day, every Tuesday, Matt, for 20 years, I go down, there's a hot dog vendor. I see Benny on the street. He got 5 kids to feed from, he's a spying on you from Total Recall, Benny. But he's a hot dog vendor in your reality. I get this hot dog. If you just one day took the hot dog, you put the mustard on, whatever, and you just took it, and you thank you, Benny, and you just fired it against the wall. If you fired the hot dog, I'm not saying to do it. You lose your job. You'd probably be arrested. Don't do this stuff. You just fired it against the wall, and you think you'd remember that? Yeah. Now, I'm not saying to do outrageous things, but Matt, we need to fire hot dogs against the wall, buckets of water. No, whatever works for you. I just need to provide ridiculous examples so you see obviously you know what I'm saying. This isn't Matt. It's not that hard to figure out what you're saying. Okay. But a big part of part 2 of the work for me, what I know, I need to make days memorable, something. And I'm trying to do the best I can. Like, I mean, even little moments with my cats are just like, and it does relate to appreciating or recognizing the most important moments of our lives as they're happening. I think it's related. If you recognize one of the most important moments of your life as it's happening, then you will remember that day because you will remember that you tagged that moment as such. So, guys, this sort of touchy-feely video, I'll lose thousands, but we're gonna do this at least once a week. I'm not gonna go back to the Francis Scott Key Bridge. I don't think most people here are addicted truthers to darkness. I know some are. I'll eventually lose them, so I won't do enough of it. So be it. So it is the badge of honor, right? Or to get I'll never escape the 94,000 or wherever I am. And Matt, that's a lot. Yeah, well, it's not really when it's pushing 15 years across 2 channels. And when I went away for 6 months, this channel gained rather quickly because people knew who I was from the old Texas Shrugged. So it's basically close to 15 years. And there's little stretches where I jumped up in subscribers, and a subscriber number doesn't mean anything to me. I never placed an ad. Somebody left me a comment or sent me an email or something about demonetize. Am I monetized? What is it? How? They've demonetized all of us, but I've never run an ad. There's no magical monetization just for having subscribers. They've demonetized people that talk about the things we've talked about, but I've never run an ad, so I never was monetized. I don't care. Anyway, but the comment was such that they must notice I've never run an ad, and they're asking me about monetization. Like, well, YouTube just doesn't pay people for it. It would have to do with running ads. Anyway, about a week ago, I presented the final book chapter, my interpretation of reality in under an hour, but it's one sentence. I forget the half page. There's something here trying to block what you're supposed to do for your spiritual whole. It's your goal or mission to do what you're supposed to do, but also see the adversary that's trying to block you. It's one run-on sentence. It's that simple. You're here to do something for your spiritual whole. There's an adversary put here as a role player to block you. Therefore, if you don't know exactly what to do, look and see how it's trying to block you. It is that simple, in my opinion. Matt, that's all of reality, and that's a little too simple. Believe whatever you want. I believe that's it. So yeah, we're Tommy, deaf, dumb, and blind kid. So does it want me experiencing life where every day just flows into the next? And oh, what week is this? That, and again, that is my biggest crime in terms of not doing what I'm supposed to do. Months will go by, and I just, oh boy, I made a video, researched dark reality, built a stove, fed the cats. Made a video, researched dark reality, returned emails, fed the cat. What month is this? It's shame. I don't like shame on you, Matt, but I say it all the time now. I'm doing the best I can to break it. So if you ever struggle to determine, well, what is the part two, the work, or worry about yourself activities, for me, look, just again, what's it trying to do? Everybody here, per your inner knowing, would tell you it obviously wants every day to blend into the next. That's why it presents such routine through society and culture. And the holidays come at a certain time. And you wake up, just as the Pink Floyd Time says, wake up and 10 years is behind you. How did I get here? We know this is a gigantic not-nil tactic, 100%. Whole of society and culture is designed around this reason. Therefore, what you do is simple. You break it. You make sure 1 week and 1 day does not blend into the other. And, share your comments. How to do that is very difficult. If it has to start with pouring a glass of water over your head or throwing a glass, if it has to be something ridiculous, then start with something ridiculous. If it has to be getting out of the car in the same way now, year after year, going into the house, I'm just going to roll around a bit these are stupid, I know, but I'm going to roll around for a second or two. Well, don't do that. You'll be hauled off. A neighbor will see you or something. But if you roll 2 or 3 times before getting up and to go back into your house after work, you'll remember it. And it doesn't. Yes, my examples are the absurd and ridiculous at this point. There are other ways to do it. More in the noticing the most incredible, impactful moments of our lives as they're happening. A cloud formation can be one of the most impactful and incredible moments of your life if you have a certain mindset. Or I'll tell you what I did the other day. This is so stupid. I know it's granola crunch. You're gonna eat, Matt. You're gonna eat grape nuts and shit. Okay, but I don't know. I have to communicate this the best. This is what I'm doing. It's not. This is what This is what the part two, the work, the rest of my life is about. I'll try not to bore you with too much of this, and if the channel become too much grape nuts. But the sun was the daffodils have popped up. They start to pop up sometimes as early as February. I think daffodils, the yellow daffodil, is the first one in Pennsylvania that comes up as a flower, and they're all flowered. Everything flowered early this year, and I hadn't really stopped to look at them. And I said, shame on me. And it was getting dark. And I said, I'll remember this. I just threw down to do something that I would remember it by. I threw whatever I was holding down, and I ran outside, tried to run, almost like to remember it, to say, I need to see you guys before the sun goes down. All right, but the whole event was so strange. I ran outside to see the daffodils because I hadn't noticed them since they had flowered. I was like, shame on you, Matt, for not noticing. But typically they would say, I'll see them tomorrow or whatever. At least I would be trying to see them. At least I'd be trying to notice different aspects of nature. But I threw something down. I ran outside. This is one of these weird little moments that I'll remember. Okay, my examples aren't great. I need to do a lot of work in this regard. We can have these moments without having to fire a hot dog against a cement wall. We can. That's when it starts there. But if again. What's the opposite side to this? Just go back and do what not milk wants. Just have every day blend into the next. And that's exactly what it wants. And that's just another distraction tactic to keep you from what you're supposed to do here. And your, getting in touch with your spiritual whole will tell you what you're supposed to do here in terms of the part two, the work. Your higher self don't care about you running out to see no daffodils popping up as the first flowers of the spring. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I felt I needed to see them. I needed to acknowledge it, and that I believe in some way I did need to see that, and that's Again, I don't think that's doing what the not nilk wants either. The not nilk would rather have me playing a video game or on some sort of LCD screen, which Thaddeus will tell you the light of today. And then getting back to the dark, Thaddeus will tell you that the light as it's presented through the new bulbs, through video games, computer monitors, LCD screens, it's so, he said the wavelength is blue light. It is so bad. It is so not nilk. It is so the opposite of staring into a fire at night. A campfire at night is mostly red light, red wavelengths. Allow you to sleep better. It's that blue light that fools the body at night, that it's noon when it's 10 o'clock and you're supposed to get ready for bed. It throws off your biorhythms. He even wears glasses. If he has certain bulbs in the house that, if you buy the LCD glass, he'll wear a blue blocker glasses at night in his house. So we know this, but again, there are people like Thaddeus that have taken this research to a whole new level. And I mean, there's no, this dome light that is in my hallway here. You go to Home Depot, it seems like the greatest deal, so it sucks you in. Dome lights, there's no bulb. It just somehow it glows or lights up. It promises something ridiculous. I don't know. Did it say 30,000 hours of continuous use? You could leave it on 30,000 hours. It's just, but the light, you just get the sense whenever I have to turn it on. It's so bright. The light is so not nilk. It's so that blue, horrible frequency. And actually it saved 2 dome lights in the hallway out here. And I saved an old, for some reason I had it down in a box, the old fashioned dome light, with a big glass thing you screw up and the bulbs will go out and you have to replace the light bulbs every so often and you have to get up on a step ladder. These new ones from Home Depot, again, there's no bulb in it. It just lights up somehow. And it'll go, unless there's a little bit of a short with your electricity, you could literally leave it on for years or even decades and it won't go out. But when the not nilk wants to deliver its harsh, harmful frequency, it will entice you to buy, as I was when I bought it years ago. But I installed back the old one. I have to go up there and with a step ladder and luckily I saved a bunch of old light bulbs. And there's some metal halide bulbs are not great, that he says, but it's better than these energy savers with all the blue light crap they're selling you now. And what's the other one? There's halogen, metal halide, and then the old-fashioned incandescent ones. If you could get them at a yard sale or wherever, they just don't sell them anymore. Luckily, I bought up 20 boxes or so, and I still have many left. But if not, their halogens or metal halides are better, if that's what they're called, than their regular bulb of today is, as Thaddeus would tell us, incredibly harmful. And you know this. I'll take the Pootie Tang Award. The old guard's like, Matt, we know about light bulbs, dude. What is this, 2008? I hear you. I just wanted to. Some people aren't aware of the two other options. You still can find the halogens or the metal halides. I'm not sure which is better. Thaddeus will tell me, I guess. All right, guys. We need to do a worry about yourself activity, the work, part 2. We need to do it once a week. We see through the trick. This is the only reason for being. This sort of thing is the only reason for existing. Not to look at dark reality more, which I will continue to do because my role is to bring the 5th grader to the 12th grade, or to graduate the 4th grader. I will continue to do that, and we also need a laugh. The old guard may stick with me because we'll make fun of it from time to time. I'm sure. I'm not going to look at the Francis. Of course, guys. What a coincidence. The writer of the Star Spangled Banner. Of course. I mean, we have to look at it. Of course. I mean, I didn't look at it for more than 5 seconds. So I just went over to CNN and I saw that a ship had hit a bridge, and I didn't know. I've looked at this long enough where my default is no. My default is I don't buy it. I remember the Evergreen ship that was stuck in the crossways stuck in the Suez Canal that caused all sort of disruption, and it was stuck for weeks. And of course they couldn't If anything were real, they would have mobilized like the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the engineers from Russia and other countries would have come in, and they would have been able to fix it in 10 or 12 hours. But it was stuck for weeks, causing all sorts of disruptions, mostly because they do it for the symbolism. And they do it for many reasons. They get many reasons out of it. For everything they do that's major, they get 3-4 things for themselves. But one of the major things is it's always some weird, creepy symbolism. And guys, I'll remind you that any time that this entity here proves itself to be different from you, which they do all the time. Let's say I looked at the Francis Scott Key Bridge and found what remember I put out years ago, is there anything major we could ever look at that's just not going to be riddled with conspiracy in this reality? We said no, it will always carry. I'm sure this will be no different. That exposes reality. That's the best news of all time. If every major event in the world is riddled with all sorts of gematria, conspiracy, coincidence, things that don't add up, it's a false reality making a presentation. That's the greatest news of all time. And when the entity proves, or the creep proves to be different than you, that is literally the highest on the scale of the best news of all time. If you know there's something that's trying to block you spiritually here, then the default is then you're a very powerful spiritual being, or it wouldn't be trying to block you. The best news of all time. Thanks for watching.